On Friday, September 11, 2015, Pulse Nigeria, in collaboration with Insight Communications, held its first ever Digital Marketing Unscripted panel. The event was aimed at discussing all the pros and cons of the new digital age marketing and the endless possibilities that lie therein. Among those present at the event were the head of Pulse Nigeria, Rick Tansley, Batil Guton, head communication and PR, Jumia, Ebi Atawodi, general manager, Uber, Olatomide Asher, senior strategist at Insight, Falake Stees Johnson, senior copyright at Insight, Shegun Martins, head of digital at Insight, as well as Feyi Olubodun, COO Insight, as the moderator, along with clients and business partners. The event kicked off with a question and answer session, followed by an open floor discussion on ways to improve digital marketing while engaging customers and more.
Everyone talks about the huge penetration level of internet in Nigeria and all of that. And I'm always curious at what exactly is going on in that space. So I have friends that are more extroverted and they tend to favor certain platforms and certain activities online. And these are the guys that every 2 minutes they are posting I basically know what is going on in their life because it's all over the place. And then I have other friends that are more introverted. They never, if I send them a ping on BBM, they take like 5 hours to respond. But if I post a picture on Pinterest, they like it almost immediately.
So digital really is the media. It's not Instagram and Twitter. That's one aspect of it. That's social media. It's not just the marketing platform where a Pulse will come. You've got that piece. You've also got services. You've got, even now, you're getting to a point where people are using it beyond to actually do a lot of interesting computation. So medicine and, all of those things are starting to move digitally as well. So I think it's very important to understand all of those and how they fit in.
Most of the people in this generation will take to Instagram, for example, because of the need for them to show off or to tell stories about themselves or whatever it is that they are up to at whatever point in time. And based on what Shegun said about being precise with your targets, and I think besides that, you need to understand exactly who these people are, what exactly that they do. So when people tell you what people are about online, or through in the digital platform, for example, say they are introverts or they are extroverts, or this is what they do, this is what they do. You need to understand exactly who it is that they are. So you find out that a lot of research is telling us that people are different online than who they are offline.
It's one thing being mobile, it's another thing. Now the apps are as important and even more important than having a responsive version for mobile. For us, the app, what we notice is that people interact when they have apps. It's like they've invited us into their lives already. It's much easier for them to get back on the app than to go on Google Chrome and then type Jumia and then go. So first this, and second, you can retain a customer longer on the app. I haven't figured out exactly why yet. Maybe it's because it's so much, it's done in such a way, it's built for mobile at the start, so it's much better. They stay longer, they buy more, and they come back twice as much as a mobile version. So for us, the app is like the new it thing for mobile, and this is what we think is the future of online commerce everywhere, but here particularly the results are quite fascinating.
Yeah, so yesterday or so, Apple decided to put apps on their Apple TV, and I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely. Because think about it. What you talked about apps, what it allows us to do. I think perhaps there's some control thing going on there, because more and more it looks like this whole digital world is giving more and more control to the consumers, and everything we're doing is giving them more and more control. They can control their content, they can control when they view it, what they view, and all sorts of things are going on there. Rich,
yeah,
you have an app.
We have an app. I think everyone in our company uses it, and that might be about it.
He's an honest guy.
Well, the problem is on a lower end phone, if you're using Opera Mini and you download our app, it's too heavy for the phone, so the experience isn't great. If you have a nice phone and you're using the app, the experience is superior to using Chrome on your phone. It's just the question is, we have mass content for the masses, and the masses don't have phones yet that the apps will run well. But that is changing quickly. If we created an app designed to run on a lower-end smartphone, we could do that, and I think we could push it and make it work. It's just, so far, almost all of our traffic comes from mobile, from some browser. So for us, it doesn't. I mean, I would love to have more apps that work on every phone. It's just to build all of those, I'd have to have 20 different apps.
Yeah. So and you you're raising a very important question about what can we do with the lower end phones, because we've got more people that have those than the people that have the smartphones. Thank God that brands like Techno and all the other brands are making more affordable smartphones, but there's still a bunch of people that have that. The other day, my mother told me to get her a smartphone. I said no, because WhatsApp is okay with the blue thing. I do not want her being able to use anything else to make life more. But on a more serious note, I mean, we've got clients and brand owners here, and the thing that's been running through the back of my mind is that 6 months from now, if this digital world is going to keep growing and keep advancing, 6 months, 1 year from now, what will a brand brief look like? So there was a time that we used to get briefs and there was absolutely nothing digital on it. It was simple TV, radio, print, outdoor, period. And then we got to a point where, we were getting briefs that had, put some online banners in there. Those things started popping up. And then at some point, we have two briefs. One brief to the digital agency, another brief to the creative agency, who apparently are two different entities and all of that. But from what you're saying, from what we've been saying here, if everything is going to come to a convergence, what will a brief look like from the client 1 year from now? Steve?
We talked about value earlier on. I believe that, my personal opinion, but I believe that the principles of marketing cut across all platforms. So if you're doing traditional marketing, digital marketing, whatever kind of marketing is going to come after digital marketing, the same principles apply on all of these platforms, which is still to give value. Now, when you talked about the app, I was going to add that on the app. When you talked about the app, we have two different types of value that we're giving, especially if you're looking at it from an app point of view. I'll tell you from my own point of view, I had the Zenith app on my phone at some point, but the only reason why I'll go there is to get the value that the bank wants to give me. I'm not going there to get the value that I'm looking for. It's just it's what you want to give me that I'm going there for. I'm not going there to get random stuff like the app you talked about. I downloaded that like 3 days ago because I realized that I drink too much alcohol and I don't drink a lot of water. So I downloaded it. It's called Plant Nanny. Yeah, Plant Nanny app or something. So the more water you drink, you keep feeding some virtual plant, and if you don't drink as much water as you're supposed to, the plant dies. And it helped us a bit because there are a lot of us that have the app. So we're like, oh, my plant is bigger than yours, my plant is growing and all that kind of stuff. Now, I see that as more value to me than just come to my app and come and buy this or come and do this to get to so place, because it's just that's the value you want to give me. So across all platforms, whether we're doing digital now, even in the next 6 months or 1 year, even if the platforms change, digital is just a platform, it's technology. Even if those technology change, it's still the same value that we're supposed to be given to. So the things that are important, give value and tell a very compelling story.
So it's almost as if you're saying that a year from now, if a client were to send a brief, it should be media neutral. It's almost as if you're saying, just say there, this is the value we want to give, this is the story we want to tell.
Exactly.
Let us know what to do.
People are on now, so how do you talk to these people on this platform?
Maybe what do you think? You've got an app.
Our whole company is an app. It starts and ends with an app.
I wanted to do that here, but these guys won't allow it. They don't want to be an app.
But Betty talked about something earlier, saying on the app there's more engagement. If, however, you ordered from Jumia and it didn't arrive on time, or the product was not the greatest, you probably would stop using that app, wouldn't you? So I think the first part is that you created a service that was compelling, and then you created the app as a way to get to it. I haven't, as a GT Bank guy in the room, I haven't been into a GT Bank branch in ages. I really only go there if I actually haven't been. I don't remember the last time I went there. And same thing. So I was using the bank, and I was sort of banking with GT Bank, and then I was using internet banking, and then I got the app. So I think it still comes down to, as a business, the core piece. It might sound like a broken recorder, but I think the core piece is first delivering that service that's of a certain quality. Everything else, really, no matter how many times you think about it, there was a certain company that did an ad for when I was working. I used to work for Etisalat when I was working for Etisalat, and interesting enough, the ad was fantastic. Everyone knew the song, and everybody knew about this comedian that went over. But the interesting thing was the percentage. It was over number portability. The percentage of people that ported from that network to other networks was one of the highest. Right. So the brief's great. You'll get a fantastic ad, right? But have you thought through what the objective of this ad or whatever it is? And that's ultimately what it comes down to. I think you get just to maybe sort of give an example, Heineken is one of the companies that I've continued to respect in terms of the way they've approached marketing. It's really sort of every single touch point. So a Heineken activation, first of all, goes on forever. It's the same campaign, and it runs different cities, different countries, over different touch points. They have an app, which is the fantasy football one, but it was for a purpose. They were sponsoring UEFA, and they wanted to engage more people on UEFA, so they built that app. And then they built it in a way that added value for the people that were doing that. But then they had these activations. They had a football game on Falamo, right? They had Heineken House, or they still have Heineken House so they have this multi-touch point experience. But I think ultimately it's a great beer. And the brand is one that's respected. And then they've thought about, okay, beyond sort of this beer, how do we sort of continue to keep people engaged and connect everyone to this beer? So they have the ads for the traditional people. They have sort of the experience where you can go in. You've got the activation that creates the buzz and PR. So ultimately, I think it still comes down to you need to get the product right, get the service right, and then really leave the media guys to come out with the way to, to create multiple touch points for it.
Awesome. Betty, what do you have to say to this?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you explained it well enough, very well. But at the same time, for me, once you've got a great service, yes, of course, that's the base. And for us, I don't think, if I'm deviating a bit, it's how do we interact with the customers. Basically, you cannot have it right from the first time. It's, your product, your service is something that you need to change. And it's to lean in, basically, and we're still a startup, so the feedback, we need to interact with our customers, because it's by interacting with our customers that we're going to get the feedback necessary. And we get the feedback very easily because, as we said, we're digital. So in digital, you can measure, in 1 hour, you can measure the success of this, that very easily. And so that's what also we need, we need to interact with our customers. We need to interact with them on our social platforms, for example. They will complain about, this sucks, this was not delivered, this product, and by interacting with this on these social platforms, we improve our services. So I think that's the way that digital also serves to improve the company and the service that we provide as a whole. So
I want to throw this back to you guys. A year from now, what should a brand brief look like? Any thoughts? Any questions?
Let me start.
Yes, ma'am.
Coming from what Richard said, there's an assumption that your client is on the same page as you are. And I'm talking clients and agency as far as digital marketing is concerned. But it will shock you to know that many of your clients are still in the stone age. And therefore, all the jargon you're going to be talking there, the guy is looking at you, he doesn't have a clue. And that's why he's telling you to just put banner ad. I'm sure he had banner ad at some conference or something. So he says put banner ad there. So I think the first step would be to get the client to a certain level of understanding of digital marketing. Many are even blocking it because, I mean, as they don't know that terrain, they're not going to even push it. So you might not even find it in the briefs. If you find it in the briefs at all, I mean, somebody has told them, start on Facebook. So, okay, Facebook. You go beyond Facebook, the guy doesn't understand what you're talking about. He says, the directive is stay on Facebook. So we need that first hurdle to cross, where the client or the brand manager on that side is on the same page as the digital agency, and that's where we need to take off from. If we don't fix that, first, I'm not even sure of the kind of policy of briefs you're going to have 1 year from now. We're struggling even with the traditional media briefs, not to talk of having a neutral, media neutral brief that will have, digital at the back of our mind. So that to me is something we need to fix.
Adam, I'll take you and then I'll go around the room.
Just to react to you, every year, what we have all of our guys do is actually, instead of training up the client into the digital marketing sphere, we make our guys learn the clients. Because then it's much easier for us than to try to explain the digital market space to a client. It's much easier for us to go in there and say, okay, treat me like a customer. And me as a customer, I am one of the tech savvy ones in Nigeria. How would I buy your product? What's the best way for me to get access to it? What are you trying to sell in the first place? And let the client talk to us about what it is they're trying to move, and then it's much easier to bring them along and say, okay, you sell fruit, we do digital marketing. Let's both do our jobs.
Speaking with other panelists and attendees at the event, they talked about what they gained from the discussion.
First of all, I'm really happy that we had a couple of our clients represented here. So I see it as an opportunity for them to move away from the stiff traditional marketing era into digital marketing era. And some of the things we talked about today, I'm glad that they were said in front of them. So it's easy now when we're trying to push digital ideas to the clients. It'll probably be easier this way to push these ideas to them and then have them receive it or be more receptive to these ideas.
I love that we were coming from different areas, like agency, Pulse, Uber, and Jumia was very, very cool. My main insights would be how different it is from one company to another. I was talking about how app were so important to us, and Rich from Pulse just said exactly the opposite. So, which means, again, what we're saying, we need to adapt to our target audience on digital.
Traditional advertising has to embrace digital from the onset of taking on a brief all the way to execution, because the future is digital, is online. We have to be able to engage the target consumers where they congregate, and they all congregate on one platform or the other online.
I think most times when people hear the word digital, a lot of people are scared. They're like, digital is the unknown. And the thing is, digital is an unrestricted platform, so it's easy for people to get scared that, I don't want to put my brand out there and have people, people who on a normal day can't get access to me or my brand, now come and talk a whole lot of stuff or negative things about the brand. So most people, especially on the client side, on the brand side, are very scared to put their brand out there. It's like you're opening yourself up to negativity. You understand? But they don't see, we need them to see the opportunities that exist within the digital, platforms. And I think that's what we did today. And I'm sure they'll be able to receive digital ideas more.
Okay, where are Nigerians right now? Where are they online? Where are they offline? So we see, on Instagram, they're like, they love silly stuff, they love content, they love games, competition. So, this is what we're going to do on Instagram. Then on Facebook, Facebook doesn't have to be so much content related, okay? As long as you can give away something for free, people will just like engage like crazy, okay? And then LinkedIn, of course, we're on LinkedIn as well. It's gonna have to be so much content related. Maybe a white paper on mobile industry trends, for example. So this is how we're engaging our different customers, for example.
It's more of getting people to be able to, engage with brands the way brands would want them to. But then you flip it. It's for brands to be able to engage the consumers the way they want to be engaged. So being able to understand that it's not just having a Facebook page and, splashing content onto the platform, but identifying that for the specific target audience, this is what they love, this is what they wear, this is what would interest them. Meaningful things that would make them want to come back to engage with the brands. Those are the things that brand custodians really have to identify, and you'd find out that the people gravitate towards everything you're saying. And again, you have to ensure that you put some form of engagement into whatever you're using to, interact with your target audience, such that you elicit information from them.
The moderator of the event, Mr. Feyo Lubodun, also shared his own take on the discussion and the next step forward.
The idea behind Unscripted was we've always provided thought leadership in this market, being the number one creative agency for the past 25 years. And we thought that what else could we bring to the table in terms of thought leadership? And our strategy is basically to come and say, why don't we have the best minds that have to do with whatever issue we're addressing, and then come there and have a conversation. Have a conversation that is stimulating, that opens up thoughts, as opposed to having an individual come to deliver a position paper, which will be limited to the perspective of that individual. But if you have like we did today with 6 panelists coming from different angles, the conversation is richer, it's more robust, and then you've got more engagement going on with that. So that's the inspiration behind it. And the platform itself is called Unscripted because we want to talk about different things on that. So now today we've talked about digital marketing. We think the next one we're going to want to talk about beer. And just see what's going on in that space. So that's how we're looking at it. I think one of the things I realize is that there's a lot that we assume that our clients know that they really don't know. And you saw a leading client here today saying that we're not on the same page as you. Some of us are still in the Stone Age, and maybe that's why we're briefing you the way we're briefing you. So my major takeaway from me is perhaps we need to take this conversation to our clients and then begin to have, if you will, mini unscripted sessions with our clients, just to tease out their questions, tease out where the barriers are, and then begin to find meeting points. That's a major takeaway from me. The other thing that was a big takeaway was digital is so wide. It's like an ecosystem. There's a lot of things we could do in there beyond just putting stuff on social media, and those are really key stuff. So I think a major challenge is being able to have the right kind of conversations with clients, to have the kind of conversations that can help us to define properly what the problem that we're trying to solve really is. I think a lot of our conversations today, as ad agencies in general, is a lot about media and how much the spend behind the campaign is going to be. I think we need to have more conversation about what are the real problems that we need to solve. When we begin to have those conversations, we'll actually end up doing much better and more effective creative stuff for our clients, because then we'll be facing what the real problems are, and we won't be focusing on whatever tools we need to use and so on and so forth.
The event came to a close, and everyone who attended got to cool off and socialize with some tasty snacks and chilled drinks. Stay glued to pulse.ng for updates on the next edition of Digital Marketing Unscripted.